And let me, on a personal note, say, when I was at junior secondary school, one of the subjects I excelled in, and I surprised myself, was agriculture. I was actually the best in that subject. Don't want to mention others, just that one. And I had a competition. There was a guy, who was my classmate, called Jameson Aaron. I hear he's a teacher of agriculture now. He took it more seriously than I did. Him and I were the top dogs. I'm talking getting 98% without struggling. But I had a weakness, which was his strength, because he was much older and more mature. I loved the theory, studied it and knew it, could sing it like a song. What I did not like was the practical, having to go. So we each allocated a little plot which we had to tend. And mine was the poorest. I don't know whether you were there at that time. We had our class teacher was an agriculture teacher. And I always got into trouble because I would fail to water. And I remember when schools reopened after a vacation, and we had to plant. First you had to dig up and then put compost and do all these things. And everybody did it. I had missed school, as I always did from time to time. I don't remember why, but I would do that. So I came late. So they were given seedlings to transplant and plant on their plots. By the time I came and they were planting spinach, those spinach seedlings were finished. So I was given kale. That's what was left, or was available, the variety Chumolia. So I took that, and even the kale that I was given, there's a point at which you must do your transplantation. And when the plants are fairly grown, it becomes very difficult. That's the time at which I came to school. And those were dumped on me. So first, I didn't dig enough. I just covered the soil and then planted this thing. Watered it when I remembered. And at the end of the year, you would write the theory, the exam, which I had no difficulty passing exceptionally well, and I beat Jameson Aaron always. And it was the other side where he always would beat me. And his plot was the best. You looked at the spinach yourself, you could see it was healthy. And you looked at that other one, the kale, it was almost wilty. And so there were these folks who came from here, actually, from Botswana Agricultural College, as it then was, who were moderators. So they came to every school, different batches of them, to do the actual moderation. So they would look at the plots and select those that they would interview. So they picked Jameson Aaron without any doubt. He was the best. But for some reason, this poorest plot was also picked to come and explain. And my teacher was extremely thrilled that this had happened, because he thought for the first time I would fail and I would learn. So Jameson Aaron went, and the others who were picked, they explained themselves. I came. And I think the lawyer in me then shone forth, because I explained, I justified, I articulated, I thoroughly explained why my plants were the way they were. And those moderators gave me the highest marks. They were so impressed with the level of, the depth of understanding. Forget the reality, but the knowledge. And so after all this, they went and gave feedback. I actually, you see, this teacher, trust email, I would take, this wooden duster, and he would hit you on the head as punishment. So I received a few knocks on my head because he said, you do all these things deliberately because you are able to talk your way out. I said, no, but I understand. I know. So that's agriculture for me was fun in that sense. But the problem again is once you finish at that level, you are distant from it. I never got in touch with it, lost, I'm sure, every little knowledge that I had except photosynthesis, which some students used to swindle their parents, go and ask for money and claim at school they've sent you back because you've broken the photosynthesis. And you tell your parent and they don't know what photosynthesis is. They ask, how much is this photosynthesis? You give them an amount, they give you the money, you go back to school to pay for the photosynthesis when you're actually extorting money from your parents. So these are some of the experiences we've had with agriculture and some of these concepts. But agriculture for us as a country has been identified as an area of growth. It has huge potential. The economists there will tell us that two of the foremost economists, Adam Smith and Karl Marx, suggested that in order to understand thoroughly the economy in any setting, you must understand the forms of production. We're trying to understand agriculture here and understand it from several perspectives. The one is we've been doing agriculture in the traditional sense. We go in, we plant, we tend, we put in fertilizer, we apply pesticides. Sometimes we don't even know why, how much to apply. You look at your neighbor, you see what they're doing, and you do the same, which may not be quite relevant for your situation and even for their situation. And so it's been that kind of, as a matter of habit. But now we are at a point where we cannot continue to rely on rain-fed agriculture in the manner in which we have done to date. The reason is that these climate challenges make rainfall erratic. The vagaries of nature make it difficult, sometimes even impossible, to continue growing crops the way we were doing, with the result that production has dropped considerably, in fact, dangerously. Food security is almost non-existent. And so we need to change how we do things and have been doing them. We now face a challenge, the challenge of what we've described as the knowledge economy. The knowledge economy brings with it advanced forms of production. These advanced forms of production are available in pockets to different segments of society. The danger is that the imbalances that we have as a society and across the world result in little pockets, vanguards of advanced forms of production that are insular. They are removed from the everyday people. The everyday people, because they are not intimately connected to these advanced forms of agricultural production, continue to do what they've been doing. Government also sponsors the routine, the conventional, the commonplace. And we give it nice names. Call it the moletlotlo. We pump resources inefficiently, unsustainably. And in the process, because it seems politically correct, we play a political con game in which we give people things that don't improve their lot, sink them further and deeper into poverty and dependency. And the dependency becomes cyclical. Each time the plowing season comes, people look to the benefactor, government, to provide seeds. What happened before? Farmers grew crops, they kept their best quality seeds. And they did not depend on anybody when the next plowing season came. They would deploy their seeds that they would have kept. Now we are in a situation where farmers don't seem to realize that they must keep these good quality, hardy, homegrown, proven seeds. Now we'll end up, if we are not careful, in a Monsanto situation, where we bring in seeds that actually bring us plants that are predatory, that kill our natural plants and vegetation, if we are not careful. And that is why we now are bringing technology in the manner in which we are trying to do now and going forward, so that we break these frozen crusts of insular vanguards of advanced production. And we extend these advanced forms of production to cover even the ordinary people, so that they also are exposed to technology. They are trained in its use and deployment. They master it and they use it and raise the levels of production. And that is why in the new program that the minister introduced called Lemang Dijo, of just targeting 1 hectare and availing assistance in a manner that now raises productivity, raises the quality and the quantity of produce. After a realization that the assistance extended hitherto of 4 hectares, 5 hectares, the yields were very low and very poor. If you take Zimbabwe, which has a program targeting a smaller piece of land per farmer or household than even a hectare, the levels of production there are much higher than what we've generated in our 4 or 5 hectares. There's something seriously wrong. There's an incongruity, there's a disconnect. And if, as leaders and technocrats entrusted with securing the welfare of our people, we keep doing these things because they will earn us praise and commendation from people who don't understand, then we are doing a great injustice to them and a disservice to the country, and we are destroying the economy. And so we need a boldness in leadership that sometimes goes against the grain of popular thought and does things that are unpleasant in the short term, unpopular, but which in the fullness of time will yield results that people will then look back and say, that was a powerful decision, resisting popular sentiment, so that we transform. We cannot transform by following the conventional and the commonplace, as I've said. So this is in part what we are trying to do here, to broaden access to these advanced forms of production, the deployment of technology to augment human potential and capability, to raise the quality and the quantity of our produce, raise yields, raise these yields astronomically, because it is possible. And the deployment of this technology is a step in that direction. And there's another lesson that we see and learn here, which is this. IFFCO is a constellation of cooperatives, the cooperative model, which we, at some point in the development of our country, embraced, followed, and seemingly abandoned. We realize cooperatives are the way to go. In India, you can see they are deploying, they are bringing technology to us. In no way it is about cooperatives. It is about these clusters, these groupings of individual farmers aggregating, pulling together their pieces of land, their ability to work, their labor power, and producing for society. And that is why, on the back of all these interventions and initiatives, we've said, we will now run a homegrown schools feeding program where the farmers will not struggle for markets. They will already have captive markets in their localities. You produce good quality with the aid of technology, precision farming, climate resilient, smart agriculture. You produce in large quantities. You have a ready market. You supply, you get paid, no issues. But now you create other opportunities and openings for agro-processing. Sometimes these things are very basic, very rudimentary. If you go in some of the best restaurants, they'll sell you a piece of bread layered with cheese and a few things there, and they'll say on the menu, with sun-dried tomatoes. What are sun-dried tomatoes? You think this is something so magical. No, these are just tomatoes grown. You take this thing, I think the paste or puree, you put it out in the sun and it dries, take it and you crush it, and that's sun-dried tomatoes. Put it on a pizza and you make mega bucks from this thing. You mean we can't do sun-dried tomatoes here? We can't grow tomatoes in such large quantities that at the very least we can then turn them into sun-dried tomatoes. And there are other nutritionists who say they are even better when they are served in that form. This is an opportunity. But then we can also process these tomatoes, make tomato puree, make tomato sauce, make whatever. Now that is the area of vigorous subjacent experimentation, research and development. This is what these folks at Nardi are about, and they are very good at it. We just need to support them. We need to allow them to guide and to inform all our interventions and all our agricultural practices. So we have the best opportunity now to extend these technologies, make them easily available, accessible to all our people across the breadth and dimensions of the country. We are also going to, and there's a program that's coming, where we are now going to study the land itself using technology. And I think the folks for that type of technology are also coming, this coming week, to sign an MOU with our Geoscience Institute, where they'll be able to tell us, in this particular area, these are the crops that will thrive. Don't waste your time on anything else but this. You'll get 10 times more yields. They will do that for. And they say they did this for Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia was importing coffee from Yemen. All its coffee. Now, when Yemen was embroiled in turmoil, Saudi Arabia couldn't get its coffee supplies from Yemen. So these folks were brought in to scour the terrain in Saudi Arabia using their technology. And they were able to determine, they mapped out the areas in Yemen where the coffee was produced, all the attributes. And they checked in Saudi and were able to plot with exactitude, mathematical exactitude, where in Saudi Arabia the same conditions that existed in Yemen existed. They mapped it out. Those folks started producing coffee in those areas. Now they are producing their own coffee. They don't have to rely on anybody else. We are going to bring those things here so that we know if there are areas here that mimic the Yemeni conditions, the Saudi Arabian conditions, we will grow coffee here. Whatever, we will. Because we will do data-driven interventions, and we will make them sustainable. So this Le Mandijo program is intended to be sustainable so that it graduates our people from those low yield levels to high yield, and therefore give them ready access to market, agro-processing opportunities, and export. This is what we're looking at. And this is how agriculture then becomes a powerful area of growth for our economy and an area for the empowerment of our people. It will then help us address issues of rural-urban migration. We'll be able to have rural economies thrive, anchored on agriculture, and the value chains attendant upon this sector fully developed, and we can export. And we aggregate both within country and aggregate with others, aggregate with Zambia for the same type of produce, aggregate with Zimbabwe to supply huge markets internationally, which they themselves alone or we ourselves alone would not be able to satisfy. When we club together and aggregate in this manner, we'll then be able to service those markets, export markets, and bring huge returns to all our economies, not just in Botswana, but in our neighboring countries as well. So this is a huge, huge project. So we are here now to model and deploy these biotechnologies. Nanotechnology, it has been explained in the same way it was explained to me. And when it was explained, I remembered my days then. I haven't lost everything. So these technologies. I think they said they are producing watermelons now and other crops. And I have a friend who said he did not touch a watermelon. He didn't eat watermelons at all. Didn't like them, didn't like the taste, the smell, until he attended a workshop where some doctor was talking about how a watermelon enhances a man's reproductive system, aids their virility. He says from that workshop, he ran straight to look for watermelons. Now he eats watermelons. And if you have no reason at all as a man for any contact with watermelons, at least consider that aspect. It might be useful. It's very important. Very serious health benefits. And so they are looking at producing watermelons in good numbers and quality. And so it's a source of great pride and joy for me to unleash, to roll out this technology, broaden the horizons, extend the boundaries, assist research and development, mobilized in the service of development, of a development agenda, to have sustainable, impactful results for the most ordinary of our people, for everybody. So thank you very, very much for being with us here today. Thank you for all those who still want to bring more technologies. There's a friend who showed me a capsule which also does produces amazing outcomes, I'm told. We are trying all these, and we'll make them available to all our people, to all our farmers, and we'll assist them. We will strengthen agricultural extension services and ensure that the farmers receive training, receive support on a continuing basis, and they receive assistance in terms of inputs and special agro-financing, special solutions, insurance packages to immunize farmers against the ferocity of nature sometimes. But it will also enable us to, when we have these cooperatives grouped together, even provide water for them. That's the ultimate goal. To have them, what do you need? You need water. How many are you? 100 of us. And you need water. What else do you need? Give them what they need. Because they'll be able to produce in a viable way. And if you want them to pay anything back, they may. But if you assist them and place them in a position where they can take care of themselves, they are self-sustaining, then that's a huge, huge improvement. So that agriculture then rises from the current levels of less than 3% contribution to GDP to the envisioned 6% in the immediate future, but we want to take it to higher. And the potential for employment, for addressing many of the ills in society arising from migration, will then be resolved, sometimes fully and finally. And so it is with this sense and appreciation that I could not miss today's event. I look forward to observing, watching the outcomes as they grow and as they empower our people. So thank you very, very much, and you have full support. You have my personal full support. And you know I know a bit about agriculture, as I've explained. So thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. The program of unveiling, releasing, launching these products is now done. We've launched. Thank you. Thank you very much.